Okay, hello and good morning everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today's the 5th of September 2019. So welcome everyone. Welcome to this Thursday's morning session where we're going to have a quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. There's always a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay, so before we jump in, as always, quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel here, to which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos, and of course our JFD Bank website, but specifically our JFD research page, which you can always check on a daily basis in order to kind of find good, interesting analysis. And I believe you can find something interesting here, so feel free to check us out right now. Right now, guys, let's jump into the charts. Now, the first one I want to touch on here is WTI oil. Now, I talked about this one this week, and I talked about this one yesterday. Basically, what's happening here after we had this break, and this is what I was talking about. So if we see a push above the 55s level, the next target for us could be around this downside resistance line, which, as you can see, continues to play out nicely. So it continues to keep the price down here. So for now, we're going to be very careful here, very cautious. So we know that oil jumped higher yesterday on the kind of on the speculation that the US is planning to well, reached an agreement with China in the upcoming weeks. So oil market took this as a nice positive sign, and of course this is what we got. But of course, don't get me wrong, I mean, everything can change, especially with the trade talks. So, and as we know, this has been changing a lot lately. So basically for now, in a way, what you could do here from the technical side, keep an eye on this downside line, keep an eye on this downside resistance line, and of course keep an eye on this little high right here near the 56.86-85 zone. If we get a nice good push above this, then yep, we will aim for slightly higher levels. Initially we will target the 57.43-45 zone here, marked near the high of the 13th of August. But if that fails to hold, then yep, this would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and we could target a slightly better area of resistance near the 58.80, which acted as which held the price down on the 31st of July. So for now, guys, this is going to be our game plan. In terms of the upside, like I said, we need to see a nice good break of this downside line, and ideally a push above the 56.86-85 zone first before examining higher levels. In terms of the downside here, well, from the very short-term perspective, what we're going to do here is we're going to monitor this level right here near the 55 area. Again, the same level that was talked about last time, and now it's going to be, it could be that breaking point to the downside. So in a way, if we see a drop below the 55 zone, we will aim for the 52.95 zone again. Of course, a break of this level would lead towards further decline, but let's keep it short and simple for now. If we see a drop below the 55 area, then there is a good possibility that we could see this one sliding back down towards the 52.95 zone. So keep your eyes on this one. Jumping into a few pairs now very quickly. So AUDUSD, I talked about this a while ago, and basically what I was saying, that we need to see a nice good clear break of this downside line before we could examine a further move higher. And I believe I talked about this one on the 3rd of September. Yes, that's correct. So, and that was on Tuesday. So basically we needed to see a nice good clear break of this downside line, and in order to kind of consider a further move higher. And this is the level that I was targeting near the 0.6822 zone, which you can see that got a perfect hit. And now what we're going to do here and how we're going to look at this, of course, don't get me wrong, we could see a small correction before another leg of buying here, so something like this could be possible. And keep an eye on some of these support levels, potential support levels. Now previously they were acting as resistance areas, but now they could take the role of support. So one interesting one could be here near the 0.68 zone, so keep your eyes on this one. So in a way we could see this one sliding back down, testing the 200 EMA, maybe even actually overshooting it here to the downside, and this is where this 0.68 level could come into play. If it holds, if it acts as a fantastic area of support, we could see this one reversing and pushing to the upside, and this is where we will aim again for the 0.6822 zone, but a nice good break of that could in a way open the door towards this little area right here near the 0.6859. So as you can see, it acted as a nice good area of support, and also on the 30th of July, and also marked by an intraday swing high. Is that correct? Yep, that is correct. So that intraday swing high of the 1st of August. So this level here becomes quite an interesting one as well. But again, like I said, for now, this is the idea that we've got in mind. We'll see if it travels lower. We're going to keep a close eye on this 200 EMA and the 0.68 zone. If it rebounds from here, it may do this curve up and push to the upside. Don't get me wrong, it might not travel even lower. It might kind of push to the upside straight away. So if you see a clear break above the 0.6822 zone, this is where we will target this upside again. In terms of the downside here, now we would need to wait for a clear move back below this downside resistance line here. And only then we will kind of aim for let's say lower levels. So for now, as long as it kind of remains above this downside line, there is more chance for this one to push to the upside. So keep your eyes on this one. Euro dollar, quite an interesting one. So you can see that it had a good run. I talked about this pair this week, and basically I was talking about some of these levels here. So one of which being this 1.1024. You can see that the pair is now kind of trying to move back below it. Again, let's see if the bears are going to succeed in doing this. If they do, we could see this one sliding to a little bit lower. Don't get me wrong, we are still within a downtrend, so in a way any kind of move higher could be seen as a temporary correction. But from the very short-term perspective here, or especially for today, what you could do is keep an eye on this little area right here. Near the 1.1008 zone, something like that. So this is just for today. Basically, it's not a major significant level, but if we see a drop below this would also place the pair below its pivot as well. So, or should I say the other way around, if we see a drop below this 1.1008 zone, the pair will already be below its pivot, and this of course could increase the chances for a slide back down towards the 1.0975. So good potential target, good potential level to watch. But again, like I said, we need to see a drop below this level first before we could examine a possible test of this 1.0975. If this 1.1024 zone can, let's say, holds the rate from dropping lower, we could see this one reversing back to the outside. But right now, this time, what we're going to do here is, and especially for today, we're going to keep an eye on this level right here near the 1.1038-39 zone. And if we get a nice push above this, then we will aim for a larger correction to the upside here, where one of the next levels could be around the 1.11 zone. So again, before we could examine higher levels, ideally we would like to see a push above this 1.1039. This way the pair would confirm a forthcoming higher high here on the shorter time frame, and we could then aim for slightly higher levels. Again, like I said, this is the kind of the game plan for today. We'll see how this is going to play out, but like I said, these are the two levels that we're keeping close eye on: the 1.10 1.1008 for today, and the 1.1039 as well for today on the upside here. EURSEK, probably you don't look at this one very often, but keep your eyes on this one in the next, let me just double check the calendar, in the next hour, basically, or 1.5 hours actually, more to be more precise. We do get the Swedish interest rate decision, so so we'll see how this is going to perform. But as you can see, so for now, looking at this picture, we can see that the pair is kind of trading above its tentative upside support line. So in a way, if the interest rate stays the same, this could still be seen as a positive for the Swedish crown, and we could see this one sliding maybe a little bit lower here, testing the 200 EMA and testing this upside support line. But if this upside line holds, if it holds the rate from kind of moving lower, then yep, it could be a nice bouncing ground for the pair, and we may see this one reversing and pushing back higher again. So maybe we could see this one traveling back towards its pivot initially, and then we'll take it from there, see what he wants to do after. Of course, if this starts breaking, if this upside line starts breaking, but again, of course, this would increase the chances for further slide lower. The only thing is that don't forget that we may see a small, maybe false breakout initially here, and if let's say even let's say a 4-hour candle, if it struggles to close below this upside line, then of course there's more opportunities for the bulls here then. But if we do get a nice good close of a 4-hour candle below this upside line, and we see a drop, a nice drop below this level right here near the 10.6868 zone, approximately around there, then yep, this increases the chances for a further decline here, where we could then maybe target areas like this near the 10.6445 or even below that. But again, like I said, for now, let's see how it performs near this upside line. If it breaks it, then yep, we'll maybe consider further declines. But if it holds, then there could be a small rebound here, maybe a push back to the upside a little bit here. So keep your eyes on this one. GBPUSD. It's very tricky, to be honest. On one hand, it does want to continue pushing higher, and it does have the momentum still, but on the other hand, it's kind of already testing this downside resistance line, this medium-term downside resistance line that has been taken from the high of May. You can see that the pair is currently just kind of just basically balancing around it. So for now, we're going to be very careful and very neutral on this one, because don't get me wrong, we did have a nice rally here in these 2 days here. But there could be maybe a small profit-taking opportunity here for the traders, for the GBP traders. So we'll be very cautious on this one. And if it travels further deeper below the this downside line, then what we could target here is the area near the 1.2137 again. Maybe this could play out nicely. Or don't get me wrong, another good potential level here. This one, let me just quickly mark this one on the chart. The 1.2175, probably, let me reiterate that probably initially we'll target that level, because this is probably a more interesting one for the traders, because as you can see, it acted as a good area of resistance here on the 2nd of September, and also it was seen as an intraday swing low of the 4th of September. So this 1.2175 level could be a nice potential target, but as I said, we need to see a further move below this this downside resistance line, and then maybe an additional drop below the pivot. But to be honest, if it already moves below this downside line, then there is a possibility of seeing this one 1.2175 level getting tested. Don't get me wrong, slightly below there we do have some other good potential areas, but this probably little territory will be somewhat of a neutral one for us, because for us to get excited with, let's say, the downside here on this pair, at least in the short run, ideally we would like to see a drop below the 1.2106 here, and then we will aim for these lower areas, these recent lows lows near the 1.20 zone. So again, keep your eyes on some of these levels. Also, what I just want to quickly mention here on the GBPUSD from the shorter time perspective, and this is what could in a way support the bulls already a little bit. So now this could be seen maybe as a little flag here on the 1 hour chart. You can see it's a bit of a squeezed one, but this little kind of decline here across across the this downside line, so this could be seen as a little flag, potential flag, and if so, then we could see a push higher. But again, for now, this is just pure speculation. For now, keep your eyes on this downside resistance line. In order for us, let's say, to aim for higher levels, especially today, ideally we would like to see a push above this 1.2260 zone, and only then we will aim for higher levels. For now, we're going to be very careful in this one. Like I said, we did have already a good rally in these 2 days. Maybe there could be a bit of profit taking, and we could see this one sliding to the downside. But that said, if this suddenly reverses and pushes above the 1.2260, this is when we will aim for the next potential target near the 1.2310. So keep your eyes on this one. USDCHF, very quickly on this. I talked about this from the beginning of this week, and basically what I was saying that in order to kind of consider lower levels, we needed to see a break of this upside line and a drop below the 0.9877 zone. We got that. You can see that last time I looked at this one, it was balancing just near this 0.9877 zone. It acted as a fantastic area of resistance and pushed the the rate got pushed further down, and again, it almost tested perfectly this 0.9794 zone, so it tested the 0.95 level perfectly and rebounded from there. So for now, it's kind of working nicely, working according to the plan. Of course, you can see that we did have a rebound. In a way, there could be a possibility of seeing this one pushing a little bit higher here, maybe testing this 0.9854 zone that I talked about previously. And then the rate could get stalled here near this level, and we could see another slide, a potential slide here, and this time we will aim for this lower side of the rising channel formation. So keep your eyes on this one. Very interesting picture happening here on the USDCHF. Again, the reason why I'm saying that we could see still a small maybe move push higher, we're currently the pair is currently struggling to drop below this pivot, so in a way this could be seen maybe as a little positive aspect, a positive thing here for the bulls. But again, they should not be getting very comfortable if the rate struggles to push above the 0.9854 zone. So we could see another slide like this. But in order to aim for higher levels, ideally we would like to see a push back above the 0.9877, and only then we will target, maybe even go all the way towards the upper side of the rising channel. So keep your eyes on this one. And probably the most interesting pair right now is the USDCAD. So this is what I kept talking about. So after the pair kind of gave us a bunch of false breakouts here, especially when we looked at the daily chart here, you can see that we did have our false breakouts above the 1.3345 level, and then it slid lower, and then it dropped not only below the 1.3310, and this is the level that I was talking about yesterday and during the all of this week. If we see a drop below the 1.3310, then we could consider this little tentative upside line, which we can actually get rid of. It's no longer valid, but the next good target could be the lower side of this little range near the 1.324850 zone. We got our break below that as well. It even actually traveled further down. It traveled, let me just actually do this, remove this S3 a little bit for now, just to kind of have it wider. So it traveled below that and closed below that, and also broke below the 1.3221 zone. So this was the low of the 27th of August. So in a way, there is a possibility of seeing this one traveling further down, maybe even towards the 1.3190 or 80 zone here. But be very careful, given that we are quite oversold on the shorter time frame. Something like this could be possible. So in a way, we could see maybe a small correction back to the upside and then another leg of selling. So, but long story short, guys, for now, of course, all this kind of is drawing us a bearish picture. We could see this one sliding further down, at least towards the 1.3180, and then we'll take it from there. It could continue sliding, of course, but let's not over speculate on this one too much. First, let's see how this is going to perform around the 1.3180, and then we'll take it from there. In terms of the upside here, from the short-term perspective, upside from the short-term perspective, a pushback by the 1.3248 could in a way do the trick here for the bulls, especially also if it travels above the 200 EMA on the 4-hour chart. And then we will aim for let's say or for the little bit of upside here within this range. Overall, we're still going to be somewhat more neutral, but from the very short-term perspective, we will aim for a larger move, a higher move here inside this range. So we will aim for the 1.3310 zone again, this time to test it from underneath. Okay, guys, I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for sticking around and watching until the end. If you want to join me later on at my traders tea time, as always, that 13:15 GMT. For now, I hope you have a beautiful trading day, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.